Jennifer shoved open the dealership's glass door in faded jeans and a plain white t-shirt. The salesman raised an eyebrow, looked her up and down, and gave a crooked smile. "Ma'am, the used car section might suit you better," he said, pointing toward the exit. "Cars here start at $300,000. Snickers rippled through the showroom. Jennifer's face warmed, but she said nothing. She pivoted on her heel and left in silence. The next morning, the showroom was just waking up when a chrome-trimmed Rolls-Royce Phantom pulled up out front. The driver rushed to open the rear door, and the same salesman nearly spilled his coffee. Jennifer stepped down with the same simple look, ponytail swaying. Glass walls mirrored a row of dream machines: Porsche, Bentley, Aston Martin, Ferrari, glinting like trophies. She strolled across the marble floor, the snap of her sneakers marking every step. At 35, she carried the calm of someone with nothing to prove. Even before she got married, she founded the Cooper Foundation for Children with Disabilities, a group that has already changed thousands of lives. She skips flashy rings and heavy makeup. Her shine comes from somewhere else. She stopped in front of the salesman, handed him a card, and smiled. "I need 2 cars today. One for me and one to auction at our next charity gala. Can we talk, or should I look elsewhere?" Jennifer had spent months hunting for a gift that captured everything her sister Kristen meant: strength, new beginnings, and understated elegance. When she walked through the glass doors of Boston Luxury Motors, the midnight blue coupe on the lit platform grabbed her gaze and wouldn't let go. A 40th birthday called for something big, and after beating breast cancer, Kristen deserved to feel the wind of victory in a luxury car. Even in that glare, Jennifer wore jeans, sneakers, and a loose sweatshirt. Almost no one would guess the founder of a respected special education nonprofit was also a successful investor. Alex Harris, the sales manager who could smell a fat commission a mile away, sized her up in seconds. Window shopper. He smoothed his jacket, straightened his blue tie, and shot a conspiratorial look at his co-workers as if announcing easy amusement. Jacob, the trainee salesman, stepped forward. "Good morning. Can I help you?" Before Jennifer could answer, Alex cut in, plastic smile, polished voice. "I've got this, Jacob. Ma'am, are you looking for the exit?" With the calm of someone who knows her worth, she said, "Actually, I'd like details on that coupe." The $285,000 price flashed on the digital sign, and Alex's disdain wavered. Month-end was coming. 3 serious buyers were on the way, and he had no time for fantasies, nor any idea this morning would teach him his most expensive lesson. "This is the Azure, a limited series. Only 15 units left the factory this year," Alex said, breaking the syllables like he was teaching the alphabet. "I can send you to our pre-owned lot 3 blocks away. You'll find something more in your range there." Jennifer felt his gaze travel over her sweatshirt and stop at her frayed laces. Judgments like that were part of her everyday life. No one suspected the black card resting quietly in her purse. "I want to see this one," she replied evenly. "Can we look at the interior?" The salesman's smile wilted. Behind him, 2 co-workers traded an amused nod as if watching a familiar play. "The Azure is only available by appointment," Alex improvised. "Our buyers usually prefer total privacy." The revolving door announced a couple draped in logos. The mood shifted. Alex puffed out his chest. "Mr. and Mrs. Harrington, what an honor to have you." Without saying goodbye to Jennifer, he waved vaguely at a brochure counter and rushed to the new clients. Jacob, the youngest associate, hitched his oversized blazer higher and came closer. "I'm sorry about that," he murmured, dropping his voice. "Do you still want to know about the Azure?" Jennifer nodded. The curious spark in her eyes convinced him this story would end up much bigger than a simple test drive. Jacob had barely started explaining the sedan's controls when Jennifer saw Alex lead the Harringtons to the Azure. With theatrical flair, he opened the door for Mrs. Harrington. The same model he'd sworn minutes earlier was by appointment only. Jennifer took a deep breath and tried to ease Jacob's discomfort. At the far end of the showroom, Alex recited his script. "The wait list is over 8 months, but I set one aside for exclusive clients." Mrs. Harrington ran her hand over the leather. "I still haven't decided on the color." "We can customize every detail," Alex assured her. Jennifer arrived quietly, stopping a few steps away. "Excuse me," she said, firm. "I'd like some information about this model." Alex blushed. As I explained, it's being shown to these clients, he replied, tense. I suggest checking our pre-owned cars or coming back later. The couple exchanged embarrassed looks. Jennifer kept her tone controlled. I want this car for my sister's birthday next month. Alex stepped back, lowered his voice, but not its hardness. Lots of people like to dream, but this is a business. This vehicle costs more than many houses. I've been patient, but you're getting in the way of a real sale. The sentence echoed. Nearby customers broke off their conversations. The friction turned into a spectacle. Jacob, on the sidelines, hesitated between stepping in or disappearing, while the tension pulled every gaze to the center of the confrontation. I'm ready to pay cash, Jennifer said, her tone firm. The showroom went silent while Alex, once smiling, let out a dry laugh that echoed among the cars. Cash? He repeated loudly for everyone to hear. That's $250,000. People who buy these machines don't show up like that. He pointed at her simple clothes. Jennifer felt heat rise not from shame but from indignation at every person judged by appearance. My money's worth as much as anyone else's, she replied without raising her voice. Alex advanced, trying to crush her with his stance. Be realistic, make an appointment, dress better and come back, or do us a favor and leave. The few conversations in the showroom ceased. Even the Harringtons backed away from the convertible. Then a new voice appeared. Is there a problem? Asked Michael Murphy, the owner, drawn by the buzz. Alex straightened his tie. None, sir. I'm just letting them know we serve serious buyers by appointment. Murphy examined the scene, his gaze drifting from Alex's smug expression to Jennifer's controlled face. When he spoke, he chose his target carefully. Your name, please. Margaret Cooper, she replied, holding the owner's gaze like someone finding a door newly ajar. Jennifer Cooper had barely set foot on the dealership floor when the salesman appeared, a calculated smile sizing up her outfit before her words. Miss Cooper, there must be some mistake. Our vehicles serve a special clientele. The word hung in the air. Jennifer took a deep breath. I know exactly what I want to buy. The manager, scenting commission, sided with the employee, not to correct him but to endorse him. We can set an appointment if you're really interested, he said. Bring paperwork, dress the part. These cars, he pointed at the polished models, require a certain standard of owner. A murmur crossed the showroom. Laughter, nudges, looks that chewed Jennifer like a free sample. She already knew the weight of prejudice, but seldom so blatant. Even so, she held the manager's gaze. Understood. She turned without hurry. Dignity doesn't go on clearance. On her way to the glass door, she heard the salesman's loud whisper. Some people forget their place. Outside, the morning sun warmed the cold asphalt. Her chest burned, not with shame, but with defiance. Jennifer pulled out her phone. As she dialed, the reflection in the glass showed Alex laughing. Soon he might learn why you shouldn't underestimate someone who seems to have no credit. After all, the Coopers keep 5 quiet acres on the outskirts of Boston, and funds enough to buy that entire showroom if Jennifer so desires. Evan Cooper cultivated silence as much as fortune. His discreet bearing didn't betray the renewable energy empire he'd founded. At 41, he had reinvented energy storage and amassed billions, but no luxury watch told that story. That morning, he paused his work when he saw Jennifer cross the office. 15 years of marriage train any eye. Something weighed on her face. Evan rounded the desk, silent, offering presents. Jennifer sank into the leather chair and described the dealership visit. The condescending smile, the questions that tested credit like invisible handcuffs. Each detail dropped the room into silence while his indignation simmered, contained. When she finished, she left a vacuum in the air. This isn't about me, she said, firm. I walk out of there knowing my worth. But how many walk out believing they're less? The question hit Evan harder than any balance sheet. Her compassion had always been his compass. He waited for the indignation to settle. What do you want to do? He murmured at last. Jennifer stood, half ironic. Part of me just wants to buy Kristen's gift somewhere else and pretend nothing happened. And the other part? Silence answered. More than a car was at stake. Dignity was. And dignity, they would learn, doesn't wear a price tag. Jacob, the young salesman who treated me with respect despite my plain clothes, keeps echoing in my head. If he could see value beyond appearances, why do so many still fail? I think about people who face the same judgment with no one to turn to. Those people need to hear that price and prestige don't live in the fabric of clothes. Evan listens, focused. Little by little, I spot a spark of an idea light up in his eyes. I can link your need for change to my sense of justice, he says, making me raise an eyebrow. I set a limit. Enough with grand gestures that feel like punishment. No buying the dealership, no mass firings. He lets out a short laugh as if tossing the obvious script aside, but keeps the gleam of someone who already sees the way. We sit at the kitchen table and page by page write a plan for impact, not revenge. We want to lift the blindfold, not take away jobs. When everything is mapped out, Evan asks if I want to go with him the next morning. I say no, firmly. I'm not looking to watch anyone fall. I want them to learn to see differently. I stand up, touch his shoulder, and ask only for a detailed account. As night settles outside the window, he makes calls, lining up every piece. Tomorrow, Alex Harris and the team at Boston Luxury Motors will get a lesson in humility strong enough to cut through tinted glass and old certainties. The next morning, the sky over Boston looked like a light blue storefront window, and Alex Harris walked through the door of Boston Luxury Motors as if stepping onto his own stage. With his blue tie perfectly aligned, he was still laughing about yesterday's episode, the poorly dressed gatecrasher who dared to touch an Aston Martin. He told the story at the bar, waving his glass like brushing lint off his suit. Just another case, he said, of someone mistaking a dream for their credit limit. In the showroom, the halogen lights made every chrome curve shine like a freshly polished jewel. After the morning meeting, Alex reminded the team that screening customers was a survival rule. You don't waste time on looky-loos. Jacob, the rookie, listened in silence, but the tension in his shoulders screamed. Alex mentally scheduled some feedback for later. And then at 10:17, the air throbbed. A deep, perfectly modulated growl announced something out of the ordinary. Everyone turned. Beyond the glass panels, a long wheelbase Rolls-Royce Phantom glided in as if it didn't need the ground. It wasn't just any Phantom. Subtle details in the grille betrayed a bespoke edition. Alex, used to supercars, felt his heart rate spike. "Who's the driver?" someone whispered. If you're enjoying this story, hit the subscribe button and join our community of storytellers. Now watch what happens when the doors of that Phantom open. The car waited center stage, a custom Phantom, midnight blue paint that seemed to shift shades every time the sun moved. Careful estimates put its price north of $1.2 million. Michael Murphy, the owner, left his office, drawn by the sudden hush in the showroom. "Bespoke Phantom," Alex announced, already heading for the entrance. "Super rare spec." A uniformed driver stepped out of the Rolls-Royce and opened the rear door with a choreographed gesture. Out stepped a man whose presence was undeniable. Tall, neatly trimmed gray hair, and a suit whose cut quietly screamed 5 digits. His posture alone commanded respect. Alex's opportunity sensors lit up. This wasn't just a good client. He was the kind of name that makes dealerships wage silent wars, a passport to 7-figure sales. "Good morning, sir. Welcome to Boston Luxury Motors," he hurried, cutting off any other salesman. "Alex Harris, sales manager. An honor to have you." The man held a smile that never reached his eyes. "Evan Cooper," he answered, shaking Alex's hand firmly. The last name sparked a flicker in the manager's memory, though he couldn't place it yet. The Rolls-Royce in the background gave all the clues, and Alex realized that the next few words could start a multi-million-dollar relationship. Evan Cooper walked into the dealership with calm but steady steps. The chime of the door had barely faded when Alex Harris, in his dark blazer, appeared ready to deliver the commission mantra he knew by heart. "Mr. Cooper, what a pleasure. You might want to see our latest rarities. A limited edition just arrived." Evan raised a hand and the sentence died in the air. "I'm looking for one car, an Azure Coupe, midnight blue." Alex flashed a well-practiced smile, part enthusiasm, part commission. "Excellent choice, sir. Only 15 units this year. It's right over there if you'll follow me." "I know where it is," Evan cut in, polite but firm. "My wife was here yesterday to see it." Alex's smile hardened like varnish that hadn't fully dried. "Your wife?" "I don't remember. Maybe another salesperson helped her." Evan tilted his head. His voice dropped, but the tension didn't. "It was you, Mr. Harris. Margaret Cooper. Jeans, white t-shirt. You suggested she check the pre-owned section." Color drained from Alex's face. Behind him, the intern Jacob let out a breath like someone hearing glass crack. "Mr. Cooper, there must have been some mistake. We greet everyone with the same care." Before he could finish, Michael Murphy, the manager, stepped in after sensing the strain. The corridor, lined with gleaming engines, seemed to shrink. A noise louder than any exhaust rose up, the sound of a reputation on the line. Evan turned to the man in the immaculate suit standing before him. "You're Michael Murphy, right?" "That's me. Welcome to Boston Luxury Motors." "Thank you. I told Mr. Harris my wife was here yesterday. She came to pick out an Azure coupe to give her sister. She left embarrassed by the way she was treated." Murphy's corporate smile vanished. "I'm very sorry. I caught the conversation in passing, but I didn't hear the details." Evan kept his voice steady. "The details include your salesman suggesting that people like her don't belong in the showroom, all because she was wearing jeans and sneakers. The display engine seemed to slip into neutral. Even the AC sounded lower. Salespeople, receptionists, and two couples browsing SUVs formed a silent semicircle." Alex cleared his throat, nervous. "Mr. Cooper, if there was any misunderstanding..." His voice died when Jacob, the youngest salesman, raised his hand. "There was no misunderstanding, Alex. Mrs. Cooper showed clear interest in the Azure. I saw her get ignored 3 times before she gave up. That was wrong." A collective sigh swept through the room as if someone had opened a window in midwinter. Some staff looked away. Others raised their brows, curious to see how it would end. Murphy drew a deep breath, weighing every word he would say next, aware that from that moment he wasn't just negotiating luxury cars. He was negotiating the dealership's reputation. Evan turned to Michael Murphy with the calm of someone who measures every word. "Funny thing," he said. "My wife founded the Cooper Foundation for Children with Disabilities long before we met. Since then, she's raised more than $50 million for adaptive wheelchairs, hearing aids, and educational programs." He paused. The showroom grew so quiet even the air conditioning held its breath. "Jennifer prefers simple clothes because she's chosen to live modestly despite our means. It keeps her close to the family she helps, and it's just one of the reasons I'm still in love with her." Murphy went pale. "Mr. Cooper, I assure you this doesn't reflect the dealership's values. We're very proud." "Values aren't proven by plaques on a wall," Evan cut in, firm. "About the Azure. Actually, my plan went beyond buying a single car." Standing to the right, Alex straightened up. He saw his lifeboat right there. "I intended to gift the Azure to Jennifer's sister just like she asked. I'm also thinking about renewing my company's entire fleet, 7 vehicles, and updating my personal collection." Murphy's eyes widened. A sale that size would cover the whole quarter. "But," Evan went on, letting each syllable hit like a weight, "I'm starting to wonder if this is the right place for an investment that big." The silence that settled felt carved out of glass. Michael laced his fingers, gathering the nerve for one last play. "Mr. Cooper, I beg you to let us make this right." Evan stayed silent. The air seemed to tighten. Then, with the calm of someone moving a chess piece, he said there was a way out. But it didn't run through the showroom. The first condition was straightforward. Next month, the Cooper Foundation would host a gala to fund an adaptive sports center. Alex, the still-stunned sales manager, was drafted as a volunteer for setup and for supporting the kids. The invitation sounded like an order, a plunge into the social impact behind the Cooper name. Without giving time for protests, Evan turned to Murphy and proposed unconscious bias training for the entire staff. Consultants were already lined up. The dealership just had to open its doors. Michael agreed before the sentence was finished, seeing it as a second step toward cleaning up the business's image. Finally, Evan locked eyes with Jacob, the salesman who had dared to defend the customer. He entrusted him with starting the paperwork, beginning with the Azure set aside for the mogul's sister-in-law. The young man thanked him, feeling both the weight and the honor in the same handshake. With the parts laid out, Evan called the group into the next room to talk about the future corporate fleet. The message was clear. Fixing things would take real action, and each person would have to prove they'd learned the lesson away from the spotlight. The sun was out and the asphalt still gleamed from the night's rain. That morning, just before heading out, Evan ran his hand across the Azure's hood. "My wife has impeccable taste, don't you think?" he said, showing off the car. Alex froze. He realized character is measured by how we treat people we assume don't matter. 4 weeks later, the Cooper Foundation's ball packed the Grand Boston Hotel. Kids with different disabilities, families, donors, and healthcare professionals filled the ballroom. Near the entrance, Alex Harris, now in a volunteer vest, guided guests and pushed the wheelchair of a chatty boy. The task he'd taken to save his career had become an uncomfortable mirror and an unexpected compass. Jennifer Cooper appeared in a blue dress. "So, Alex, how's it going?" He took a deep breath. "Painful and necessary." Jennifer looked at the boy. "Thomas seems to have chosen you." "He's trying to fix my jump shot," Alex smiled. "Says I'm terrible on the court." Jennifer laughed out loud. "He doesn't pull punches." Their laughter mixed with the orchestra's music. For the first time in a long while, Alex felt his priorities shifting. Alex drew a breath before facing the manager. "Mrs. Cooper, I've already apologized, but I need to say it again. I'm sorry for how I treated you. I was wrong." She nodded without hostility. "It's all right, Alex. What matters is what you took from it." He didn't hesitate. "I learned that worth isn't measured by looks, title, or bank balance. Respect comes before any label." "Great conclusion," Jennifer said, sizing him up. "I imagine it cost you dearly." The memory of the lost sale when Evan took only one azure flashed through his mind like a clear warning. "Every cent was a lesson," he replied firmly. Just then, Evan walked up, curious. "I heard about your work with adaptive sports." "Yes, sir. I'm going to keep volunteering even after the required hours are up. Plus, I'm working with Mr. Murphy to review our service. No one will be judged by appearance." A brief smile spread across Evan's face. "I still need to close the purchase of the new corporate fleet. Maybe you should handle the deal. Jacob praised your mentoring." Alex's initial shock gave way to a warm sense of recognition. "It would be an honor, sir. I'll keep working to earn everyone's trust." Evan shook his hand firmly. Alex's future now felt less like settling scores and more like an open road paved with better choices. In the event's final moments, Alex stood aside and watched Jennifer and Evan move across the ballroom. No pricey watches or rehearsed poses. They crouched to the kids' level, talked about drawings, and listened to every answer with rare attention. A month earlier, Alex would have labeled Jennifer for her simple dress. Now he saw something that doesn't fit on a tag, value that doesn't shine in shop windows. When the photographer asked for a group photo, Alex pushed Thomas's chair. The boy looked up. "You know what, Mr. Alex? You're pretty cool for a grown-up." The line disarmed him. "Coming from you, Thomas, that's the best compliment I've gotten in a long time." Soft laughter rippled around them. In that instant, Alex realized how much we waste encounters by clinging to the obvious. Logos on a shirt, car keys, a title on a badge. By ignoring what matters, we slam doors that could turn our story upside down, or right side up. If this scene moved you, hit subscribe and join our community. Share in the comments. Have you ever judged someone by their looks or felt that judgment yourself? Your story could open eyes here. And remember, true wealth lives in how we treat those who can't give us anything in return. Come back for the next video. There's another story worth every second.